Okay, we won't be long. Just getting things sorted out on my end so I can monitor the live stream conversations as they happen. Okay, let's just check the sound levels. So we're looking good on the sound. Okay, I'll move that up to about 20. Actually, no, you probably need to hear me over the top of the aeroplane. Okay, so today we are going to do a flight from Dhaka in Bangladesh to Paro in Bhutan in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I thought this might be a bit of fun. I'm just going to make my screen a bit bigger. Just checking things on my end. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the flight plan. So we've got a little nav map here, which is going to serve as one way of tracking the flights, but we're also going to use Navigraph as well. So we are going to leave Dhaka on the TEGAC 2 standard instrument departure. So you can see we're down here on the ground. I'll just turn off the automatic following so we can move the map around. So we're going to take off runway 32 and depart on the SID. Then follow our AW3 over to VOR SDP. What's the actual name of that VOR? Let's have a look. Saidpur. And then we're going to follow R598 all the way into the standard approach route towards Paro, which is the BOGO 1B standard approach route, and then we fly across and we join the RNAV approach into Paro, which weaves in and out of the hills, so it should be good fun. Obviously the 737-600 can do this sort of thing standing on its head, so we shouldn't have too many problems along the way. Okay, let's go and jump in. Oh, before we do that, let's just have a look on Navigraph. So same thing on Navigraph, it's just not as pretty to look at. So we can see the route there. And we can see I've got some charts as well. So we've got the airfield chart there. We've got the standard instrument departure, which we can overlay on top of the map. We've got the standard approach route into Paro, and again we can overlay that if we want to. We've got the RNAV approach, again we can overlay that so we can see it directly on top of the chart. So it should be good fun. I'll minimise that out of the way for the moment. We need to get our aeroplane up and running, don't we? So let's go and jump inside and see how we're doing. Okay, so this is the PMDG 737-600. I'm going to use a paper checklist to get it started. I'll try and remember to add it to the comments on the video after I've posted it, also after I've finished streaming. So first thing we do is check the controller configuration. So I need to go and make sure that I'm using the PMDG. Yeah, I'm using a single engine controller mapping at the moment for the quadrant, which is obviously wrong, so we need to flick through, and we've just gone past. Oh, there it is. Apply, go back, resume. So that just ensures that levers and switches and things are going to be correctly working. So we just try those things out. Yep, seems to be working. We've got control, and we've got, if we go and look outside, obviously we won't see anything moving. Oh, we do see things moving gently, but nothing much, because obviously we haven't got any hydraulics running yet. Okay, let's go and get this powered up then, shall we? So, Control 6. If you hear coughing and stuff, it's because I'm running FS Realistic in the background as well. So first thing we do in the 737 is go and turn the batteries on. The battery switch is up here. And then we come down to the FMC using Control and 3, and we connect ground power. So to do that, we go to FS Actions, Ground Services, ground power request. So we'll just wait for that to happen. That will change from connecting to release, I believe, as soon as it is connected. So just give it a few seconds. Okay, so ground power is connected, so then we can go back overhead and we can turn ground power to on immediately. And the aeroplane is now using the ground power. So then we can go further overhead. Now we have power and we can turn on the dome light if we need to. We don't need to today. We can then go and turn the IRS systems for left and right to nav. And they'll both come up saying align. We can then move this round to HDG STS so it will reflect how long until they're aligned. I think I've got it set to instant align further down. Okay, so we've done that. So we go back overhead using Control and 6 to see the lower part of the overhead panel. We turn the emergency lights to armed now. Window heats to on. And probe heats to on. Then we go down to the FMC and we can program our route. So it's saying enter IRS position, so we'll clear that out. And we'll go into the menu screen and FMC position initialization. Go to the next page, pick up the GPS coordinate into the scratch pad, go to the previous page, drop that into there and that will disappear. Reference airport is where we are departing from. So that is going to be VGHS is the ICAO code for Dhaka. So VGHS. We don't need to worry about the gate. Then we can go to route. So VGHS is already in the scratch pad, so that becomes the origin. Destination is VQPR. VQPR. And drop that in destination. We are departing VGHS on runway 32, so we can drop that in. And then we can go to... That's interesting. We can put the route into here, good. It's a while since I've done this, so I'm a little bit rusty. So the beginning of our route, if we have a look at this, because remember we're not putting the SIDS and the stars in, we're just doing the major route. So we're going to do Belku is the beginning of our route. Yeah, looking at this, or Tegak even. We'll put in Tegak, T-E-G-A-K. Yeah, so we fly. Remember that where this says direct, there will actually be a SID there eventually. So Tegak, and then we go W3 to Belku. Or actually, can we stay on W3? Yes, we can. So it will figure this out for itself. We stay on W3 to the SDP. So then we can go W3 to SDP. And it may well ask us, oh no, it doesn't, it's not asking us, so that's the only one. Then R598 to Bogop. So R598 to Bogop. Okay, we can activate that route and execute it. Now we can go into the performance and we can put the performance numbers in, so it will calculate the zero fuel weight for us. We can put reserves in, we'll just put 1000 in. This isn't a very long flight anyway. We'll put in 50 as a cost index. We're not using a real operational flight plan, so we're just going to make these numbers up. Just reading the notes on the live stream. Terry says, hi everyone, just having a break, just finished tour of Italy. Oh, very good. We're not going to fly at the level they want us to. We're going to go at flight level 250 with 25,000 feet. It's saying here transition altitude is 18,000. So then we go to the N1 limit. We can leave that as it is. Takeoff, we'll go for flaps 5 for takeoff. That calculates us then the departure the rotate speeds, and center of gravity, it can calculate it for us, which gives us a trim of 5.57. So we come over here, whoops, and just hold the mouse down until we get the trim round to 5.57, which will stop the aeroplane ballooning around as it accelerates down the runway. So the whole point of the trim, presetting it, is so the plane is in equilibrium as it accelerates. So that's about right. Okay, let's just have another look down here. So that's all done. We don't need to worry about any of the rest of that. So let's go and set up that departure. Runway 32 and the Tegak K2, so it's going to be way down the other end. Tegak K2 is there, and execute that. So go to the arrival into Paro, and it's the RNAV for runway 15, and what did I say, the Bogo 1B, and execute that. So if we go and have a look in the legs page now and flick through, we'll see if there's any discontinuities, and there is, and I can tell you exactly where it will be. It's the end of the standard approach route and the beginning of the approach. So if we just close that gap up and go next, this is at the RNAV waypoints. Going around the hills on the way into Paro, it's kind of scary as anything. There's 13 pages of them, because it's got the bypass route as well. Okay, so if we, to have a look at that, we can put this into plan mode, and you can see, it's got this crazy looping kind of recovery. So if we go to legs, and we go, right, we're back at our departure point now, so we'll go and look at this a bit at a time. So let's go step, 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 Belcu, SDP, flying across, watching this as we go, and then we get bog up, then we got the way into the standard approach route, it follows a curve, then it jumps across to the RNAV. So this, you can see, this is the loop around into Paro, and if you then miss it, if we zoom out, you can see that crazy loop around the hills to come back again, which we're not going to need that, because we're going to do this right first time. Okay, let's turn this back to map mode. Okay, we'll increase the range on it to 20 miles. So we've got the flight plan programmed in. Flight directors need to go to on. So there's one of them, and there's the other one. So that's the flight directors. Now we prepare the MCP, so we can press Control 1 to get a nice view of the MCP. 320 we want, don't we? Because we're taking off runway 320, so we're just going to prepare this so we don't get any surprises in case we have to use heading mode. We'll pre-program the speed for the climb out to 220 knots. So when we switch on the systems, we'll be good to go. Let's go and have a look at, see if there's any altitude restrictions. There are no below altitude restrictions on the climb out, so we'll go straight for 25,000. Actually, we'll go straight for 10,000 because we need to get the lights off at 10,000, the landing lights, and then 18,000 will be our next step to get the barometric pressure switched over. Let's press B while we're at it, which is going to configure barometric pressure and give us the altitude. Oh look, there's a nice jet going past in the United Express livery as a Qantas plane. He's a bit out of his range, isn't he, in Bangladesh, a Qantas plane. Anyway, so yeah, that's all looking good. Okay, so back overhead, seatbelts to on, or to auto, yaw dampers to on, cabin pressure to the cruise altitude. So let's go and preset this. fuel pump 1, so aft fuel pump 1 to on is on. This aft fuel pump 1 will provide the fuel to the APU. So then we can put the APU on. Oops, if I can click in the right place for it. So we hold it down to start and it comes back. The needle starts moving on the exhaust gas temperature here. It will climb round to 7 and fall back to 4. So we let that happen. God, it's ages since I've flown the 737. It's a bit of a trip down memory lane. There goes the needle. If we go and look outside, you'll see there's now heat pouring out of the back. You can see that happening. So the idea of running an APU, I'm sure I've covered this in lots of videos before. It provides electrical power, it also provides compressed air to spin up the engines. So you will see the duct pressure when we switch on the APU bleed. Will provide that power to start the engines. Okay, so we're at 4 on the APU, and we can do bus transfer to the APU. So this is basically taking us away from ground power now to use the electricity being generated by the APU. We can put the anti-collision lights to on, and we're going to go and disconnect the ground power now. So we're going to go back into here, go to the menu, go to FS Actions and ground, no, not the ground maintenance, but I could service these things while I'm here. Ground services, we want to release the ground power. The PMDG 737 does have consumables, so you do have to take those things into account. I have had hydraulic fluid run out in a flight before, and yeah, that's how I learnt about that one, that it actually simulates that. So we've disconnected the ground power. If we go and look outside, did I disconnect it? Oh, sorry. We've disconnected the ground power, we haven't removed the chocks, so let's go and do that. And removing the chocks is a trigger to close the doors and for the stairs to be pulled away from the aircraft. Yeah, so they'll pull back away. So we're essentially getting ready to start the engines at this point. Okay. Did we put the anti-collision lights to on? Yes, we did. Okay. Fuel pumps now go to on across the board. So we're getting ready to start the engines, funnily enough. APU bleed goes to on. So this will provide the air pressure. You can see it building, the duct pressure. So it's pumping air away from the engine, away from the APU into the aircraft, and that can be used within the aircraft. Right. So we now have APU air bleed happening. Okay, at this point, in a normal flight with ATC and everything, you would do your pushback. Yeah, oh look, there's somebody coming in. It's like Qantas, he's taxied all the way around the airfield. Okay, so we're going to go and start our engines. How do we start the engines on a 737? It's pretty straightforward. You switch the right engine to GRD. We'll use the right igniter for that one, and if we look down here you will see the N2 number coming up. When it gets to 20 we move the start lever forwards for engine number 2, which will pump fuel into it and fire up the engine. There we go. So you will then see fuel flow increase and exhaust gas temperature increase, and N1, which is the turbofan, increase in speed. If we go and look outside you can see there's actually two parts to the engines. There's the gas turbine in the middle, and then there's the big bit with the fan. You can see the fan blades if you look carefully. You can see them from the other end, obviously, because it's all fan blades from this end. So we're starting up engine number 2, which is the right engine. So Xavier St. Cloud has asked, what's your favourite plane? I don't really have a favourite. I like flying all of them, which is a bit of a detracting thing sometimes because I'm kind of, master of none, if that makes sense. So, why are these levers flicking around? I didn't do that. I didn't do that either. Okay, so engine number 1 is running. You will see the switch has gone back on its own. So we'll go and use the left ignition for this one. You can use either ignition system. It's got 2, so you can alternate them, which just reduces wear and tear in the real world. So we're waiting for this to come up to 20, which is just done. Move the start lever forwards. And yep, here comes the exhaust gas temperature and the fuel flow. And you can hear things happening outside. It's quite misty, isn't it? Just keep an eye on those numbers. So once the engines come up and running, you'll see this switch flick back to the middle. There it goes. We can now transfer power to the engines, which we have just done. We can then turn the APU bleed off because it's not needed anymore. We can turn the APU off because it's not needed anymore. We can turn the hydraulic pumps on. We can turn the packs to auto, so this is the air conditioning system inside the aircraft. And we can turn the taxi lights to on, which are down here somewhere. There they are. This is my rustiness, I'm afraid, of not having flown this for a while. So flaps go to takeoff position, so we want 5 degrees on the flap lever. Position lights go to strobe, so this switch goes all the way forwards now. We will also go and turn the landing lights on. Just reading through the checklist, make sure we've done everything. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go and roll out to the runway now. Get ready to go. We should be able to, if we've done everything right, enable LNAV now. Yeah, it's come on, look, which is good. Can we have level change immediately? I think they'll reset as soon as we enable the autopilot, to be honest. But okay, so to release the parking brake, we have to hold the brakes on our feet and then turn off the parking brake. Oh, I've forgotten I have to do it by hand. I'm using an Airbus quadrant and it doesn't work for all switches, so some of the things have to be done by hand. Okay, so if we ease the throttles forwards, we should be able to roll left. Let's just have a quick look before we do that at where we're going on the ground. So we can, this is where something like Navigraph comes into its own. If we close that out of there, come back out of here, and we can see we've got the airfield map, or we should have. Yeah, that's where we are. So if we can zoom in on this as well somehow. So over here, can we use the mouse as well? Yeah, we can. So we just want to go almost, we could do a right turn, couldn't we? Do a 360 basically to get over to the taxiway. Unless there is some grass. Oh, it hasn't modelled the grass here. There should have been some grass here, so we can go straight across there. Okay. Why are we not moving? Oh, the parking brake was off. I've just reversed the parking brake. That's rustiness for you. Not remembering what things are in which positions. There we go, we're moving. How's this doing for the sound levels, by the way? Because it's nice if you can hear the aeroplane. It's quite quiet for you, isn't it? Let's do this. Then at least you get to hear stuff happening. just rolling down to the runway. If we go and look on Navigraph, we can see the little arrow of the aircraft moving along the taxiway there. If we look in Little Nav Map, we'll see a little yellow arrow we can centre on ourselves here and see ourselves moving. Okay, so let's go and actually keep an eye on what we're doing. I hope it isn't misty at Paro. What weather add-ons am I using? I'm not. This is stock out-of-the-box flight sim. Centre pumps. Good point. Yeah, you can see I've got a config warning over here. I forgot to put the centre pumps on. To be honest, we're not going to need them, because although we got some fuel in the centre tanks just by default, we're not flying very far, but it makes the little yellow warning go away. Okay, so we could probably get away with a shorter takeoff with this, couldn't we? It's a 737-600. It can take off really quickly, so we'll go for the intersection takeoff. It's stuttering, isn't it? Why is it stuttering? It's probably loading extra assets in the background. You can see it doing it, like, every few seconds. So we're just following the road around. Terry has said, yeah, we will hear the passengers scream if it all goes wrong. I'm not sure how much they're going to like that approach into Paro. Hopefully they don't know about it, because it's going to be a test for me. I've never done it. So I'm going to try and follow the flight plan. We'll have a look at it while we're en route. It's quite involved. You just need to be coming in at the right kind of altitude. And hand fly it. There is really no autopilot option with Paro, so therefore you'll see an awful lot of people not going anywhere near it because they can't land if they can't use the ILS. And they'll blame the simulator and the plane and all sorts. It does look quite awesome, doesn't it, in the morning mist? Right then, let's get out onto the centre line and get the show on the road. Okay, just have a quick check around everything. I think we're good to go. There's an AI plane, look, straight. We'll go underneath him, so we're going a little bit fast. That's fine. Okay, we get off the ground.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. So it's throttle on. Go for speed mode. That won't let us now, we're too low. We can go for autopilot on. Level change. LNAV's already on. Flaps up. Sets for 250 knots for the climb out. So you can see the plane is accelerating towards 250 knots. We're going to go and enjoy the climb out. whoa, look. There's somebody else coming up with us. Are we going to have somebody flying along with us? If we go and switch on transmitter, and then go and have a look at the map, can you see, oh, they're not using transmitter, whoever it is. But they're obviously going to fly the route with us, and they're in a 747 by the look of it, so that's going to be fun for them. 747 flying formation with us. Okay, let's keep an eye on this while we're climbing out at least. So we keep the cabin lights on until we get to 10,000 feet. So not cabin lights, the landing lights. Then we turn them off, and then we go to standard barometric pressure at 18,000 feet, so it shouldn't take too long. So, yeah, this fog bank was only local then by the look of it. It is going to clear up as we get further into the route, which is useful, because we will need good visibility on the way into Paro. I think part of the reason for the fog bank is in India and Bangladesh right now, it's quite late in the evening, so the cold weather has rolled in, whereas I've only wound the clock back. Obviously I haven't wound the weather back to what it was like earlier today. Let's increase the range now on the waypoint, so on the map, so we can see where we're going. So we should get to the top of climb just after Belgium, which is good. So we're coming up to 10,000 feet, which was our initial target. We'll climb straight through then and go for 18,000. We'll go for a level change to get that. Just coming through 10,000, so the landing lights can now come off. And we continue on up. Xavier has said, fly safe from a VL3 pilot, see you later. I haven't done a live stream for ages. I think part of the reason for that is I discovered that YouTube doesn't promote live streams. So it massively favours in its algorithm recorded videos. I'm not quite sure why. Side. So the 747 is still over there. Appears to be having a few issues. So climbing towards... Oh, we've gone through 10,000 feet now, so we can accelerate, which is good. So let's get that speed out to 320. Did that lever just move again? It did, didn't it? There's a bug in the aircraft, I think. So we're accelerating to 320 knots. I don't think we can get to 340. Yeah, it's right on the limit, look, so we'll stay at 320. The aircraft is favouring acceleration over climb, so when we get to 320 knots the climb rate will increase. You'll see that happen. So while we're doing that, I'm going to have a quick look at our plan here. So we're flying the plan. The red aeroplane is my transmitted position from the transmitter application. So we're coming up through Belku, then we fly over to SDP, or Saidpur I think it was called, and then we need, when we get to Bogop, so above, so 18,000 feet at GTSO, which is right the way over here, and then we drop to 13,000, so just under 14,000 feet, so we've got to lose a few thousand feet on that leg, and then down to 10,000 feet. So that sounds like a lot of altitude until you go and look at the information for Paro. Elevation 7,300 feet. So straight in. Yeah, so we're not going to pay too much attention to these restrictions because they don't sound quite correct. When we get into this valley, it will be very obvious what we're doing. Okay, we're just coming up to the barometric pressure switch point, so 900 feet to go. That's why you just heard the small klaxon. And it's saying, yeah, it's acquiring the targeted altitude. Okay, so we will now climb through it to 25,000. So level change, and we'll switch to standard barometric pressure now, which is 2992 or 1013, depending on which scale you are using. It's clearing up a little bit, isn't it? Just a view like out the other side. It's quite flat at the moment. Obviously it's not going to be flat once we get a bit further down the route. Did they fix the doors in this thing? Can you open them again now? Is there a switch down here, or is it inoperative still? Yeah, it's got inop written on it. So they've removed the door. So can we walk through it? No, we can't. What about the views then? If we go control 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's nothing built in. What about if we go to the... Just making a turn, by the way. What about if we go to the view? It's mad, isn't it? Because the whole cabin's in here, but the views don't let you get to it easily. The 747 is still up there behind us. Let's just make sure what we're doing here. So we've got 25,000 feet set on the altimeter. We're using level change to get there. 320 knots is all looking good. I think about 22,000 feet this might switch to Mach number. I can't remember what the cutoff is. It's somewhere up around here, isn't it? It will switch to Mach number all of a sudden. Funny, isn't it? If we did this at accurate time, which we could, it would be dark. Imagine trying to fly into Paro in the dark, where you can't see the mountainsides. I don't think we'll attempt it this time. Maybe another day we'll have a go at that. It might be good to give it late afternoon though. Let's just have a look. If we move the time, because obviously I'm not on live time. Because if I did put it to live time, yeah, it's dark. about if we just wound it back? Obviously it's going to get darker as we get close, so we'll see how we do on time. So we've got a bit of a break here. We're just coming up to the top of climb. So if we zoom out, we can get some idea of our arrival time. We can also look on the progress page in here. So you're looking at 11:44 Zulu. We're just coming up to Udiro at 11:09. So we're looking about half an hour. So while we are en route, I'm going to go make a quick cup of coffee. And then we can consider what we're going to do to descend and to get to our appropriate place in the sky for the approach. So you can see the green bananas appeared now for the prediction of when we get to the targeted altitude, which is always good. It's interesting that they've simulated the brightness of these becoming burnt out. It's quite clever. So we're just approaching 25,000 feet, so we were 900 feet away from it, that's why you heard the klaxon. We won't be needing the nav radios today, although we could tune them in, I guess, to this VOR that we're approaching. 11580. 11580. Let's switch that back. And then, obviously it's not going to do anything because we're using the flight management computer. If we were to switch back and use the nav radios, we'd get the nice information from them. Okay, so we've gone to altitude hold mode has kicked in. And we're just holding 25,000 feet now. We can see the route, which is good. Flying in towards the SDP start. So we get the data here from Nav1. So DME is working because of the radio, but obviously we're not using it for guidance. We're using the flight management system. So 61 miles to go to SDP. Is there another way? Any more nav radio beacons? Oh, there is one just above Paro, 108.40. So should we do that on VOR2? Or Nav2, sorry. 108.40. Switch it over. Is it going to wake up? And the reason it hasn't, if we go and have a look at this, is probably not very high range. 130 mile range, yeah, we're outside of that. So as we're flying along here, we'll come into range of it and we'll suddenly be able to see data come up on VOR2. Should be interesting. We've got TCAS off at the moment. I forgot to do that on takeoff. Again, rustiness and not flying in a group or anything. So on TCAS, once you have TCAS on, you can actually go and press the TFC button and you get range rings. And if there are any aircraft around, you will see them and hear warnings, and the plane may deviate to avoid them. So that's the difference between TA only in TARA. On RA mode, the plane will react. TA, you're only transmitting your data. You're not reacting to other things you're receiving. Okay. I'll leave this on the outside view for a bit. I'm going to go make a coffee and I'll be back. I guess what we could do, while we're doing that, I could open the Navigraph chart so you get to see it while we're flying. So you can see where we are. There we go. Right, back in a few minutes. Just realised while I was making a coffee, I thought, oh, I didn't go. Yeah, guys, leave it back in the middle. I'll be back in a moment. Still working. Yes, it is. Hurrah. So we're just approaching the turning point at Saidpur. I'm just going to mute my microphone because I'm about to eat something and you don't want to hear me eating. Okay. So this is the run-in towards the approach now. So let's go and switch the graph off here. Let's get inside the airplane. Zoom in a bit more on this so we don't see too much at once. It's quite cool now, you can see the hills coming. So let's go and refresh ourselves of what the requirements are going to be from us on the approach into Paro. So I'm just going to tweak this because Little Navmap doesn't always understand airways. So let's add this waypoint just to make this follow the line. Okay, so we need to be 18,000 feet by GTSHO, Golf Tango Sierra Hotel Oscar. So we've got ages yet. So we've got 50 miles, 60 miles or so. We can actually measure that in Little Navmap quite easily. So if we right click on the aeroplane, you can measure a distance and then you can draw across the map with it. So yeah, 80 miles even. So we've only got to lose 7,000 feet to get down to 18,000, so we can just enjoy the scenery from it, really. So just reading, just a guy has said, I wish that us Xbox pilots had this plane. I thought it was out for Xbox. I thought it was, or at least it's coming for Xbox, I'm not sure. So Kev said about the hydraulics on the landing gear. Yeah, I raced in. I didn't see your comment at the time. I realised while I was making a coffee that I'd left it up. So yeah, turned that off. If anybody's not aware of that, in the Boeings, the landing gear lever has 3 positions. So when it's up, you're consistently charging the cylinders essentially to keep pushing the undercarriage up. So if you leave it in the up position, you're consistently pressurizing that system, so it will increase wear and tear on it. Whereas if you switch it to off, it doesn't put pressure into the cylinders anymore. how are we doing on the plan? It's all quite boring, the middle part of the flight, isn't it? That's why I kind of tend to keep flights action-packed if I can, to give myself something to do the whole time. I think that's why I like the older aeroplanes, where you have to manage the aeroplane more. Williamson, when can you safely turn it off? It's just while you're in cruise, isn't it? This scenery in this simulator is absolutely ridiculous. So while we're doing this, I'm going to take the opportunity to do a bit of an advertising thing about Virtual Flight Online. Let's go and open a browser while we're flying along. Won't take long. So if I go to the Virtual Flight Online, this is the website I've been working on for the last couple of years. We do group flights every so often. You can see who's online using transmitter. So you can see I'll be on the list somewhere. These are all the people using transmitter right now. So there's me. If we zoom in, it will go right into me on the map. So there I am. If I go and click on myself, I get the basic data about myself. But this was only the beginning of the story. We've been doing this for a long time with Virtual Flight Online. We started an airline. So you can see all the details there about the airline. If we go and visit it, I'm not actually using it right now. I'm not doing an airline flight, but it has routes and a rank structure and all sorts of things going on. You can see those are the people that are in some point of either flying or dispatching their flights right now. There's lots of them. We have a newsletter that goes out as well. So as a pilot within the airline, you can do a particular flight, for example. You can book a flight, go do it, and then when you have flown it, you get to see how well you flew it. So if we were to go, for example, into the crew centre, log in as myself, and go and look at my logbook, you can see there's a flight I just did recently there. We'll go and look at the proper data of it. So I've just done, let's go and have a look, actually look down here. So I did a flight from Stansted to Edinburgh. It's a good point actually. I can open any of these out and see details about the airports, which is quite cool. Also you can do things like click on the flight itself and you can see the report about the flight, things I did well or badly. So I didn't operate my landing lights correctly, so I got told off for that. But you see obviously your landing analysis, you see all sorts of things, and you see the exact route you took. So that's uses a piece of software called ACARS to do that, which you run alongside the sim. I'm not running it right now because I'm not doing an airline flight. But you can do tons of things in the airline. So it's got tours and events around the world. You've got a special event going on for the next week in the Himalayas. But there's lots and lots of different tours where you can do around the world, which give you basically ideas for flights. So if you went to New Zealand, for example, there's a tour of the South Island. It will pop up in a moment. Here it comes, and you can see I've already done nearly 70% of the tour. So you can see the flights you've done. And if you view a particular flight, it shows you where it's from and to. Alongside the tours, there's a route map, so you can see we've got various hubs around the world, and if you click on one, it will tell you the routes to other hubs, so you can go and figure out where to fly from and to. And to do that, you can go and look in the schedule, and these are all the scheduled flights. So you can then pick a particular aeroplane, for example, and it's filtering it live as we do this. So we could say I want to fly out of Stansted, for example, and then we got all the flights out of Stansted. So there's one there, for example, flight number V0740. So if we click on that, we can see that in more detail about it, and we could go and dispatch that and go and fly that flight. But beyond that, we also do the newsletter, obviously. So there's a newsletter that goes out every few days with things that are going on. So at the moment there's the announcement of this Himalayas event over the next week. and lots of other things going on. So yeah, there's tons of stuff happening at Virtual Flight. I don't know what else to talk about to do with it, really. You win awards for having completed things, so I've completed a few different things. You can see the aircraft that are in the fleet. So we've basically covered nearly all of the aircraft available for Flight Simulator. All the ones that are any good anyway. So people get to choose to fly pretty much what they want. There is a rank structure. So, that page isn't there anymore. I'll have to fix that. So if we go to Virtual Flight /rank. Oops. You can see the number of hours you fly gives you a rank, and that opens up the aircraft to you. So when you are in the virtual airline looking at the tours, you will notice that they are only available to given ranks. So those are the Class D tours, the Class C tours, the Class B tours, and so on. Class A is the highest rank where the 747s live. So you can go and do like the long haul world tour, which is huge legs around the world. So if we go and zoom out, you can see that. But yeah, so virtual airline, it's all good fun. But back on the kind of the route stuff of Virtual Flight Online, we do group flights every so often, so there's a full guide in here about taking part in group flights, what you need to install, so Discord basically. And we're doing one tomorrow night. We're going to go and visit Mount Roraima in Venezuela, and all in GA aeroplanes, and we're going to be making a nuisance of ourselves. So that should be good fun. Anyway, let's get back to this. So we need to drop down to 18,000 feet. So this is getting darker a bit more quickly than I wanted, so I am going to fiddle with the time. We were just trying to make it pretty, weren't we? So flight level change. Let's go and fiddle with the time, because yeah, it's getting dark alarmingly quickly. Make it middle of the afternoon instead. So we just heard the engines pull back, they're just doing it now, look. So the plane is preparing to descend, so let's pull the range back in. We need to be at 18,000 feet by the time we get to here. To help us do that, if we pull the air brakes in, also spoilers, then we can descend at a much faster rate. You can see, look, the rate of descent is increasing to 5,000 feet per minute, and we're dropping like a stone. So come back off the spoilers, we've got plenty of time. So we do need to start thinking about speed, so let's go and refer to the charts to see that. If we go back out of here and go and look at the approach charts here, it wants max 250 knots already, so we're going too fast at the moment, so let's pull that back. So we'll try and do this a little bit correctly instead of just charging in. So we're pulling the speed back to 250 knots. We're also dropping to 18,000. Notice it's favouring deceleration over descent. So we've stopped descending at the moment. We're getting a fair bit of turbulence off the hills, which is I guess to be expected. So once we get to 250, the nose will dip again, and we'll go the last bit towards 18,000 feet. So once we leave, so you can see our aeroplane is coming around there, and we're going to be coming... Actually, yeah, there isn't a really good diagram, is there, of the... Oh, no, approach once we get to 18,000. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so we will appear on here very soon. So what we could do is put this on the chart so we can see ourselves approaching it. So then we need to be at, just looking around here, 13,800 feet. So let's come back off the spoilers, we don't need them now. So we go back to a proper barometric pressure. We'll go and find out what the barometric pressure is at the destination. So we're going in towards Paro. So if we show information on Paro, we should find in the weather readout 1021. So at the moment this is showing it in American format. So 1013, so we need it to be 21. There it goes. So then we can descend now. We need it to be about 14,000, don't we, when we get around the corner. So we'll do that and do flow level change again. So by the time we get around to here, we need to be at 13,800. This is where it's all going to get interesting in a hurry. I'm going to shorten the range up on this. Actually, no, we'll leave it for the moment until we get closer. As I said, I've never done the approach into Paro before, so this will be fun. I've not done it in a big jet anyway. Not coming from a star. Sorry, from a SID, I should say. So you can see it wants us at below 145 knots by the time we get to there. So we'll start losing speed now. And you can see that is going to say it's unattainable in our current configuration. So we need to get to the marker for the flaps to be able to drop the flaps, to be able to get slow enough for the target speed it wants us at. So we're just going to drop for the moment to 180 knots, which we can get to. So it wants us basically very slow as we come around here. Still got plenty of time. We've got 15 miles to lose, a couple of thousand feet, and we're just coming down to our target airspeed, so the nose will start to drop anyway. Okay, so the altitude will start to come off again now. You can see that there comes the green banana, which is predicting the point at which we will get to our target altitude. So we're going to start feeding the flaps in, which will increase the throttle, strangely enough. So we've gone for the first stage of flaps, so you will see the flaps extending over here. So we've got 2 degrees flaps, and we're on the marker there for 2 degrees, which is fine. So we'll hold this speed for the moment. We're just coming down for 14,000. Let's go and check that chart again. So 13, we're just... That's interesting. Is that correct? That's a different route, isn't it? Yeah. We've not got this exact route. We've got a slightly different one. We're shortcutting it, which is fun. So we'll refer to Little Navmap for the moment. That's interesting though that we've got that different. I wonder if this has got the other route. so if we open this up, I've only got a few moments to do this. That's runway 15. Other approaches.
Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain.
Yeah, because we're not following the correct approach,
Terrain.
I'm going to have to manually fly this for a while. It's fine. We should have come down that valley if we'd been following the correct approach. We're not following the correct approach, so we'll just deal with it. Okay, let's get the auto throttle off as well, so I have control. Let's zoom this in so we can see what we're doing. Yeah, you can see the path look in the valley here. We should have been coming down this valley on the approach. Okay, let's go for the next level of flaps. And let's start getting things done ahead of time. So gear down. Landing lights on. Oh, did I already have them on? It's the other way around on this aircraft. No, it is that way around.
2500.
Okay, so we will be using radar altitude to help us out around here. We can actually, if we press... No, I can never remember how this works. There we go. You can get a glide path estimated to you. Trouble is, it doesn't always work the way you might like it to. So I'm going to just not use it, and we'll go by I. It's quite scary that they want us to go... Okay, they want us to turn before that hill, is that right? Yeah, so we're just staying tight against the hill.
Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain.
So we turned a little bit late there. It's fine.
Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain.
So once we go through this pass, this is why there was that 13,800 limit. It was to get over this ridge, and then you drop in. It's amazing scenery around here, isn't it?
Terrain, pull up. Terrain, pull up. Terrain,
Yeah, the radar altimeter will show up in a moment. There you go, it's climbing away now.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain. Terrain. Pull up. Caution, terrain.
This would have been very interesting in the dark. We would have had to use terrain radar to help us.
Terrain, terrain. Pull up.
Let's just stop that flashing by giving it a sensible target.
Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Terrain, terrain. Pull up.
And there goes the 747, who obviously wants to be a star on YouTube. Got news for them, I haven't got that many followers. So we essentially come around this corner and we should get airfield in sight pretty quickly, but to help us do that we can stay to the left side of this valley.
Terrain, terrain. Pull up.
So let's pull this down to 5 miles now so we get a good view of the approach and the waypoints.
Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Terrain, terrain. Pull up.
So
Terrain, terrain. Pull
warning
up.
down there.
Caution, terrain.
See, the 747 can't go as slowly as us.
Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Caution, terrain.
There's the runway.
Caution, terrain.
Traffic.
And he's completely messed that up. And he's just slammed into the ground. Which serves him right, really, for trying to be a star.
1,000.
So full spoilers, full flaps.
500.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Terrain, terrain. Pull up, pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Sink rate.
20. 10.
What a touchdown. All my body was shaking.
There we go, flaps up. We had loads of runway left. Didn't have to use the reversers or anything. Could have come in a lot more gently. I guess you have to backtrack here then. Or is that the other side of the fence? Yeah, you can go the other side of the fence, okay. I've never been here like this. This is awesome. The scenery is very good, isn't it? It must have had some custom scenery made as part of the flight simulator updates along the way. I'm very impressed with it. Actually fit along here. I'd love to see how far the wing hangs over that wall. It's a bit too close for comfort, isn't it? I wonder if they have a tree surgeon, because a 747 is going to take that tree out. And that fence, oh my word. We just fit. Yeah, I think somehow big jets have to backtrack. We'll just make sure we stay on the line. So someone's asking what server I fly on. I don't typically use VATSIM because I don't have the time a lot of the time. The times I'm usually flying are usually early hours of the morning to get, you know, the quiet time. I've got a busy home life, busy work, so yeah, it's stunning that I record any videos at all, to be honest. Or that's why you don't see me do live streams much anymore as well. I fly online with Virtual Flight Online most of the time, which is va.virtualflight. There you go, va.virtualflight.online. You can see we've got 500 pilots. We've rapidly become one of the biggest and most relaxed, most welcoming virtual airlines on the internet, because we do GA flights as well. We don't just do the big jets. So you can see we've got a special event going on this week with the Himalayas, with a tour. There's all sorts of people already doing it, look. So there's a big flight across the Himalayas going on. We've got a very active Discord server, which is getting more active by the day, and somehow we have avoided the legion of idiots that plague the Microsoft flight sim forums and servers. We are quite strict. We won't allow any swearing or any cursing or hate speech or anything like that. Any idiocy or talking about drugs or alcohol gets you banned pretty much instantly. It's people who are invested in Flight Simulator, want to talk to other people who like aviation. So yeah, we're pretty tough on that and keep it, you know, pretty much straight down the line. If people want to be idiots, they can go and be idiots with other idiots and not waste our time. Oh my word, look how tight this is to park in here. We're going to get the wing past that post. No. So yeah, if you're looking for a community of flight simulator enthusiasts that are sensible, unlike, you know, the mayhem you sometimes see elsewhere, then yeah, head to virtualflight.online on the internet and come and join in with us. Join our Discord server, and you'll actually get some sense out of people that are interested in flying. Yeah, that wing's scraping the fence. It's quite amusing. So I think I should have backtracked, really. Yeah, because look, they've got the hard standing to come in. I wasn't really supposed to come this way with a big jet. It's an impressive house. So, do you think it's a hotel? Maybe. It's an even more impressive house. Is that the control tower? No. Should we park just here then, right in front of the posh? Oh, sim has paused. Is it about to break? See if the sim wakes back up. It's just frozen. Yeah, it's just the... I think it's the USB controller that causes that half the time. Okay. Let's get it on the marks. And wallop. Parking brake is not on yet, because you need to pull that up. Okay. So there we go, we did it. This building is very good, isn't it? This is stock scenery. So this is out of the box flight simulator, so yeah, X-Plane can go do one basically. Looking at this, you get this for free. It's pretty stunning, isn't it? Yeah, this is the out of the box scenery. There's nothing special going on here, just reading the live stream. This is what you get with Flight Simulator. The liveries have had a bit of a job done on them because I've got the simple traffic add-on, which is putting correct paint on the aeroplanes. But beyond that, whoa, look at the building over there. Didn't even notice that on approach. I was too busy panicking as I came around the corner. So there you go anyway. It's got floodlights and all sorts. Is there a sports ground behind there? Or is that for the... that's for the airfield, isn't it? Or is it to light up the car park? Okay. Anyway, so what do we do when we get on the blocks? We go and... we could go for straight for ground power, which means we then avoid having to... we can set the chocks, then we can request ground power. So we've got the chocks, the ground power is being plugged in, you can see it there, so a cable, there it goes. The umbilical will connect to the aeroplane, and then when it says release, it's then connected. We can then switch over to using ground power instead of the aircraft, so big switches overhead. So we're now using ground power, meaning we can go and switch the engines off. Job's a good one. So I believe in here, I've not really messed around with this, in the FS actions you can do things like... there's indoors? No, that's opening and closing the doors. Can we get ground services to come and put the jetway is inhibited, because there isn't one here. I'm just wondering how we get it to pull the van up. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that at the moment. There's a whole nother part to this plane where you can configure it to get the trolley to come out. Don't think it's in the menu up here. Anyway, so there you go, there's the 737, and we've flown into Paro, a bit of a heavy landing, but hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all again soon. Obviously I could go through and flick all the switches back that are still in their ready positions, so we can go and do all this stuff, which we haven't done. Turn the hydraulics back off. May as well do that now we're here, eh? So, window heat goes back to off, probe heat off. The emergency lights arming system can go back to off. The battery would go back to off last, actually, because yeah, once you disconnect ground power you would do that. So, and then overhead you would go and disable the INS, the inertial navigation system. Okay. There we go. So if you want to go completely cold and dark, all we need to do is go and turn the ground power off, which takes us back to an almost dead cockpit, and then the final thing you do is turn the battery off, which is going to be up there. And you're back to completely cold and dark. If we did want to open the doors, there's a bit of a trick here. You don't need to have power on to do it. You can hold the menu button on, and just the FMC will come back all on its own. If you go into the PMDG menu, FS actions, yeah, you get the minimal menu in here. If we go to doors and can we open them from here? Interesting. Perhaps we have to do it somewhere else. I'm not too au fait with the way this all works, so you'll have to excuse me on this bit of it. So what do we get in options? Nothing. What do we get in aircraft? That's the configuration of the aircraft, not the ground handling. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and we'll leave the plane sat dormant, ready for its next flight at Paro. What wonderful scenery though. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you soon.